You know those days when you wake up full of good intentions, but before you know it, it's already 5 in the afternoon and you're still in the same spot, scrolling on your phone with a subtle sense of guilt? The motivation was there, but it just didn't happen. Time slipped away, right? I know exactly how that feels. I've been through that cycle more times than I can count, and today, I want to share what I've learned in the middle of that quiet chaos we try to ignore. College life is full of challenges no one really talks about. Everyone mentions the tough classes, the group projects, the exams, but few talk about that constant feeling of being behind. It's like time is always slipping through your fingers. Even when you try to get organized, there's always something pending, and that quiet pressure slowly becomes part of your routine, until one day you realize you're living on autopilot, just reacting, barely catching your breath. At first, we believe we've got everything under control, that there's still time, that it's okay to push things off a little longer. So we delay, a little today, a little next week. Suddenly, the deadline is right there, panic kicks in, coffee becomes your meal, and exhaustion piles up. Anxiety grows, your sleep falls apart, and everything feels way too urgent. It's like constantly chasing your own delay, trying to catch up with time that slipped away because you let it. What's most frustrating is that we know exactly what needs to be done. You know you have to start, just open the document, write that first line, watch that lecture, but it feels like there's an invisible wall holding everything back, like your body and mind go into some kind of resistance mode. You sit there, feeling guilty for not moving, yet unable to act, and that turns into a silent cycle. The will is there, but the push never comes. It took me a while to understand what was behind it all. One day, almost by accident, I asked myself, why do I always put things off? And the answer hit me hard. It wasn't laziness, it was fear. Fear of trying and failing. Fear of letting myself down. So instead of facing that, I ran. I postponed. I hid behind the idea that I'll do it better later, but that later never came. It just made the weight and anxiety grow, quietly. The truth is, procrastinating gives a false sense of control. It feels like by putting things off, we're buying time to do it better. But in reality, what we gain is more weight. That later becomes an invisible monster that follows us everywhere. Even when we try to relax, it's there, nagging, poking, reminding us of what we left unfinished. And in the end, we don't rest and we don't create. We get stuck between guilt and exhaustion. It was only when I stopped running and faced what I was feeling that things started to shift. Not magically, not overnight, but little by little. I started accepting that I wouldn't always feel motivated, and that's okay. That not every day would be productive, and that's okay too. And that pausing for a moment wasn't failure. It was self-care. Realizing that gave me strength. Because when we embrace ourselves, we unlock something. We begin again. And then I realized that time management wasn't about doing more in fewer hours. It was about doing things with more presence. About understanding what truly matters to me, right now. When I stopped trying to beat the clock and started genuinely listening to myself, things began to flow. Some tasks stopped feeling like monsters and became just the next action, and everything felt lighter. Because when we respect our own pace, time stops being the enemy. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that organization isn't about strict control. It's about creating space. When you understand that planning your day is a way to take care of your energy, not to trap yourself, everything changes. You start saying yes more to what really matters, and no to what just drains you. And it doesn't require perfection, only intention. When your time has purpose, even the boring tasks take on a whole new meaning. And if you're hearing this now and feeling like everything's a mess inside, just breathe. Really. Take a deep breath and remember, you don't have to fix everything today. Sometimes the first step isn't doing more, it's doing with more intention. Choose one thing, just one, and give it your full presence. No rush, no pressure, because it's in those small gestures that change begins. And the most beautiful part is realizing you can start at any moment, including now. College life is a whirlwind, and it's normal to feel lost sometimes. But that doesn't define who you are. You're learning, making mistakes, trying, and that's already courage. Procrastination doesn't mean you're lazy. It just shows something inside you is asking for care, not pressure. And taking care of yourself doesn't slow life down. In fact, it's what moves it forward. You don't have to know everything right now. You just have to be willing to keep going, even if slowly. In the end, what really matters isn't how many productive days you had, but how many times you had the courage to begin again. Time management starts when we stop pressuring ourselves for perfection and start allowing ourselves to exist with more presence. You're not a robot. You're a human being, growing, evolving, and it's okay not to handle everything, because deep down, what truly transforms you isn't speed, it's consistency, done with kindness. So next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, sometimes what we need isn't more effort, but more listening. Listening to what your body is saying, to what your heart is trying to show, not as pressure, but as care. University life is full of goals, yes, but it's also full of pauses, and it's okay to slow down a bit. You're not falling behind. You're simply learning how to walk with more awareness. And if this video brought you a bit more lightness, share it with someone who's also trying to handle life between classes, assignments, and messy thoughts. Sometimes all we need is to know we're not alone. And if you'd like to keep walking with me on this path of self-awareness and presence, subscribe to the channel. Here we learn together with no rush and no masks. Thank you for being here. Truly. I'll see you in the next video. And just a reminder, it's okay not to have everything figured out. No one does. University life is full of confusing phases, unproductive days, and moments of doubt. But that doesn't define you. What defines you is your willingness to keep going, even on the hardest days. To get up, take a deep breath, and try again, even if it's slow. Because growing isn't about being perfect, it's about being honest with yourself. And that alone is already a huge step forward. So if today you felt stuck, not knowing where to start, try taking just one step, a small gesture. It might be opening your notebook, taking a mindful shower, or breathing deeply before reaching for your phone. Anything that reconnects you with the present moment, because sometimes the first step isn't forward, it's inward. And it's right there, in that intimate space, that many things begin to fall into place, even if on the outside it still looks a little messy. And if this video made you reflect, or at least feel that you're not alone on this journey, share it with someone. Sometimes all we need is a real conversation to start organizing things inside. And if you'd like to stick around with us, subscribe to the channel. Every week there's content made with care to help you breathe a little easier in the middle of the chaos. And remember, it's okay to start slow as long as you keep going, because in the end, no one has all the answers. And college life doesn't come with a manual. We learn by stumbling, testing, figuring out what works and what doesn't. And that's okay. What matters is remembering that you don't have to handle everything on your own. There's always a way to breathe deeper, to ask for help, to try again. And just the fact that you're seeking more clarity and balance means you're already taking care of yourself. And that in itself is huge. So take a breath. Remember, you're not late, you're not falling behind, and you don't need to have it all figured out right now. Comparing your pace to others only makes you forget your own rhythm. And sometimes, what you need most is lightness. A small step, but yours. A simple choice, but an honest one. In the rush of academic life, listening to yourself is already an act of courage. And believe me, that alone can change everything, from the inside out. And if this video made you feel a little lighter or reminded you that it's okay to move at your own pace, share it with someone who might need this too. Sometimes an honest conversation changes more than we imagine. And if you'd like to keep walking this path with me, subscribe to the channel. This is a space for us to grow, calmly, truthfully, and without pressure. Thank you for being here. Truly. I'll see you in the next video. In the end, no one was born knowing how to handle everything. We learn by trying, failing, taking deep breaths, and starting over. There's no secret formula. There's presence and courage. Courage to slow down when everything demands speed, to listen when the world only wants noise, to look inward even when it's scary. That's maturity. Realizing that time spent with yourself is never wasted. It's an investment. And the more you know yourself, the lighter everything starts to feel, because that's when life begins to make sense. And maybe the most beautiful part of all this is realizing you don't need to wait to feel ready to begin. Clarity shows up along the way, not before it. When you allow yourself to take one step, even a small one, your inner world starts to realign. Procrastination loses power when you realize it's not lack of ability, it's too much pressure. And treating yourself with kindness is indeed a way to move forward. No rush, no guilt, just truth, presence, and a little more self-love. If this made sense to you, If at any point this video helped you breathe a little deeper or feel a little less alone, share it with someone who might need it too. Sometimes a simple conversation changes everything. And if you want to keep walking with me on this journey of self-discovery, subscribe to the channel. Every video here is a safe space for us to understand ourselves better. No pressure, no perfection, just presence and truth. Thank you for being here. Truly. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourself. Gently.